Welcome all, welcome home to SuperMex Nation. It is Wednesday after the wrap-in Monday with Brother Miller. And we had talked a little bit about the two big nights, at least on the Democratic side, but it does have effect and relevance, for the entire country, because one way or the other, whether you're a Democrat or not a Democrat, there is a possibility that one of the persons that will be on the stage tonight or tomorrow night could be the next president of the United States, and therefore of mention and noteworthy. So that is tonight and tomorrow, and I quite literally haggled with how I wanted to do, today's show, and then perhaps succeeding on the Friday, because Swainbo's out of town for a couple weeks, so we're going to hold off on our education component on the Friday nights, and maybe go back to, in essence, what would be a summary / wrap-up of the 2 nights of Democratic presidential candidates, and then of course other news, which is quite the case for tonight. It won't just be me talking a little bit about the Democratic presidential debate tonight. Due diligence and full disclosure, I did watch a sliver. It started at 6 Pacific time, so I got to watch just a piece the first 15 to 20 minutes. I'd like to say then I had to get hustling into the studio to get ready for tonight. So I did get, and I want to try to give you the essence of, what I saw, at least initially, and what I think will go on at least for 2 nights, if not in concept, then definitely in practice, and how they go about their business and trying to, distinguish themselves and make a name for themselves if they haven't done so already, because there's a whole load of people that are in the low percentages, 1% or less. When you have 25 now candidates, obviously not everybody's going to be 15, 20, 30%. You have quite a few that are, less than or 1% or less on the stage tonight and tomorrow. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and then talk about a little other that maybe not as positive a thought, and quite ugly thought, but you watch, you listen, for those of you that do, quite literally, because I tackle the tough topics, and I don't shy away from the difficult. It isn't all just, rainbows and roses, right? It isn't. You have to talk about difficult issues and items to actually progress and move beyond something that is not good. If all we did was say everything was great, well, then we would have no progress. And by the way, that's entirely un-American. That is not the way we go about our business, or at least not the way we used to go about our business, which is to tackle the tough topics, to discuss the difficult things, and to find solution. And you guys know the model for SuperMex Nation: fact-based, issue-oriented, but ultimately and always solution-driven. Fact-based, issue-oriented, and solution-driven. Those are the bywords and the watchwords of SuperMex Nation. So I want to thank you guys for being here with me on a Wednesday. We are quite literally wrapping up another month. We're getting to the end of June, and we will begin to, as I've tinkered with the format and the structure, had a long talk with the brother KP, producer, the other night, and I'm going to begin to flesh out a variety of things that I'm capable of. Listen, I can come on and be the Mexican version of Edward R. Murrow and be straight-laced, serious, and factually driven when it comes to the material or the information that I relay. I can do that. It doesn't mean that's all I want to do. I quite literally don't just want to do that. There are a variety of things that I'd like to do, and yes, SuperMex is a brown onion. There are plenty of layers here for you to grasp and to fiddle with. So I have a lot that I'd like to get out into the ether, into the netherverse that is you, my audience. And some of that won't be entirely just news of the day, national, foreign policy, etc. By the way, I could, in theory, just go crazy and just do a foreign policy episode every week, if not every day, because that's kind of where my wheelhouse lies. That's where my wonkishness lies. I do enjoy foreign policy because I do believe that a strong, solid, cohesive, coherent, comprehensive, and forward-thinking foreign policy actually provides and builds, if not reinforces, comprehensive, systematic, cohesive domestic policy. It does all work hand in hand. So for tonight, what I've got for you is we'll talk a little bit, just a brief update on what I saw tonight and what I think is going to happen over the first 2 nights, or these 2 nights of the first presidential Democratic debate taking place in Miami currently, right now. And then I'm going to talk to you about a few other items before we wrap the show that have moved me not entirely in a good way, but it quite literally moved me. Why, at this point, but it's becoming more staggering, right? The ubiquity of multimedia, social media, other forms of information intake, dispersal of information. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere. It's daily. You can't walk down the street with some kid taking in information, whether you like it or not, by the way, taking in information on some device, usually a phone, but some other form of device as well. There's always a constant influx of information, and we've found that information isn't always reliable or factual or from a good source. And so you have this dichotomy, this what I see as a battle, a war of misinformation, disinformation, and quality content information. Somebody posted, well, I'll say it was my son posted the other day in the SuperMex Nation forum that baby boom generation, which is one generation older than myself, prior, the ones that are kind of running the country right now, but the baby boom generation, and this is a factual study, is 7 to 8 times more likely to share information that is not factual or that is fake. They are more likely to share that information just because they see a headline and they run it. The flip side to that is that millennials and younger, in their 20s, etc., are far more discriminating in their intake of information. In other words, because they're in this generation, they grew up with this, they can sense and smell out fake or misinformation better than those that are older, like myself or older. I found that an interesting read, but it didn't surprise me. It did not surprise me, because I see a lot of people, my friends and older, that literally just see something and they run with it and they share it out like see. And the reality is they haven't vetted that out, or they haven't been discriminating in information intake. So what they end up getting is a bastardized version of what the truth is. Sometimes, and almost entirely, depending on your political view, it's a version that fits your narrative and fits what you want to believe, which is quite literally the case for why we are where we are today as a country. That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen, when facts do not matter because you saw it on a headline from a friend. That's a problem. So I thought that was interesting. I really liked that article. Again, the younger generation, millennials and whatever else you want to call coming after, they are far more discriminating than us, meaning older folk. They are far more discriminating in their intake of information. They can catch a fake, they can catch false news far better than we can. We are more likely to just see a headline, share it, and put it out before actually verifying and making sure that it's factual. Interesting sidebar, but very, very potent, if not important, sidebar for all of us. Because right now, sometimes you don't know. We're living in two entirely different countries. You see a set of information, one country or one part of our country believes it's 100% accurate. The other part of the country believes it's 100% inaccurate. That's a problem. Staring you in the face, presented with the same set of facts, people believe entirely opposite, for it or against it. That's a problem. That's how we don't come to consensus, which, as most of you know, is the genesis for the show in the first place. Coming to consensus, coming to common ground, finding issue and policy that we can all agree on so that we move forward and we stop regression. That's where we're at. So take a look at that if you can in SuperMex Nation. If you're not on the group already or in the group, look it up on Facebook, SuperMex Nation. You need to request an ad. I'll put you in it. It is not a place where you go to bash a political opponent or a counter view. It is a place where you go to find common ground. It is a place where you go to find an issue that everybody can agree on. It is a place where you go to not have to worry about somebody jumping on you and Facebook shaming you or calling you names and playing the third grade stuff. Not in SuperMex Nation. We don't do that. We don't, because I monitor the page myself, and we do have rules. Those rules stipulate that you cannot begin your conversation by slamming or smashing the other side before the intellectual component of your assertion or your view. And I will say, it's actually cognitive dissonance if you begin the process that way. How can you get somebody to agree with you when your whole purpose is to make them less, belittle, bemoan, and berate who they are? There's no consensus, there's no common ground, and there's definitely no agreement going forward, in which case, well, you kind of get what we have right now, which is the way they want it, I guess. I'm going to quote from Cool Hand Luke if you're not careful. So here's the show tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit. Let's do this. So on the dem end, this is what I'm doing in generality for you. Okay, so there's 10 people on the stage, right? And the things that the Democratic Party can be known for are for things like, for instance, health care for all, universal health care. I will say that the Republican Party didn't put forward universal health care. It was the Democratic Party that did. And I've stated, in terms of a liberal or conservative viewpoint, liberals are supposed to be pushing the boundary, pushing the envelope. Conservatives are supposed to be holding and tethering that envelope so that it doesn't get too far out. Progression, conservation. That's what you want. You want a balance. Okay, you want a balance. You want somebody pushing the envelope, but you want somebody holding them and tying them, grounding them, so that they don't push the envelope so far out that they never come back and it goes over the edge. That's exactly what you need in balance. We don't always have that. But where does my point go? The point goes to what the snippet that I caught, and it's probably already done, but it was about universal health care. It was basically, you know, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. That was done by a Democrat. It was not going to be a Republican that does it. What I have seen is that a lot of my Republican friends agree that they need some form of health care because health care costs are way too damn high, and the average American cannot handle those costs. So if you can't handle those costs and something catastrophic happens, for instance, some illness, a disease, cancer, or some other form happens to somebody in your family, it'll devastate and destroy your family because you cannot cover the costs. Frequently, and in way too many cases, those types of catastrophic injuries, illnesses, etc., damage to person, damage to body, damage to mind, will wipe a family out in terms of savings and future. It'll leave people in debt progressively and successively for years to come and relegate that family to, if not middle income status, then below that. Okay, so that's what Democrats can do, is push that boundary. And conservatives can pull that back a little bit so you don't have this great idea with an inability to pay for it. Okay, in my world, what I always thought the balance was a Democrat or a liberal will push something new, innovative, creative, different, something that we probably need but we haven't done. And then the conservatives find a way to go slashing and cutting things that are not necessary or that we don't need, or pinch a penny and save a buck so that we can do that new program. There's a novel idea, right? A conservative and liberal working together so we can have something like health care for all, but not having to break the bank to do it, not having to sell the farm to do it. I think that is entirely doable if you actually have Democrats and Republicans working together. I think we know that's not the case. What I'm saying is that's what I advocate for, and that's why I watch all aspects of the political continuum, both liberal and conservative, left and right, Democrat and Republican. It's necessary, ladies and gentlemen, if you want a healthy society. So I saw that tonight. The biggest bone of contention, because they're going to have to get after each other sooner or later, right? You got to move up in the polls. Somebody has to. The biggest bone of contention when it came to universal health care was whether it would be creating a universal health care for all, removing a private health care component that is already in place. I don't do this often, but I will if necessary. I'll tell you directly where I'm at. I do believe that it is possible for every American in this country to have the ability to take care of themselves, for every American in this country to be able to pay for their medication that keeps them alive, for every American to survive an ambulance ride without breaking the bank and the family and losing the farm. I do believe it is possible for every American in this country to be taken care of in terms of their health. Okay, provided, again, not something just astronomically crazy, right? But I also believe it's possible for those that want private health care, their own health care that they pay for. I also believe that's doable. It is doable. You don't have to cut one for the other. I think some of it's done for political points. I don't do political points. I think most of you guys know that. But I do believe that, and let's crystallize that right now. So out of this Democratic debate, the first 15 minutes of it that I saw was about universal health care. and coverage for all Americans. I believe that every American in this country can be covered. And you're saying, well, it's going to cost. Of course it's going to cost. But that's why you slash and you cut things that are not necessary. More importantly, you take it to the areas that have made the most money. Big pharmaceutical companies, organizations, corporations that are making money off the backs of the American man and woman. Middle America, poor America, which nobody talks about. It's funny how we always talk about middle America. We don't talk about poor America. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, middle America is shrinking, and it's not exactly shrinking up. Middle America is shrinking. You know where those other people that are falling off the edges of middle income? They're falling back into the poorer class. That's a fact, by the way. That is a fact. Check it if you want, but it's all factual. So I do believe, I'm going to state that unequivocally right now from what I heard on stage tonight, because I don't remember. What I do remember of the Republican debate was they basically complained and cried about Obamacare, but they did have the House and they did have the Senate and they had the presidency. So if they were going to do something about it, they would have done it. And that's my point. Conservatives conserve. They don't create new. Liberals and progressives create new, sometimes too much new, sometimes too many things, and it's not manageable or not doable. But there's the balance that you have to strike. So that's what I saw tonight. The bone of contention was going to be, if we have universal health care for every man, woman, and child, American citizen in this country, can we do it without taking away and removing private health care for those that can afford it or those that want something separate and different? That's choice. And I'm all for that. I do believe that's doable. So interpret that however you want, interpret that how you will, but that's what I believe. I do believe it's doable. We're the greatest country on the damn planet. We can't get that right? Come on now. The SuperMex Nation. This isn't Candy Ass Nation. Let's get it right. Okay? So that one was significant. I think it'll continue to be more significant. Another part that you see on the Democratic side is they talk actively about income disparity. I talk about this as well because I don't think that's just a Democratic issue. I think that's an American issue. The richest class in America, the smallest percentage of America, is continuing to gain wealth at a massive and astronomical rate, while the poor class and the middle class, the poor class is growing, the middle class is shrinking. This is an imbalance. The wealthiest class is not necessarily increasing by number. They're increasing by wealth. The poorer classes are increasing by number and decreasing in terms of wealth. The middle class is not increasing in population and not increasing in wealth. You're probably going to want to walk that back and rewind this when this one's done, because that is a truism that I've just stated to you in terms of the three classes that generically get termed for the American people or in general for any country or any population. But I want to make sure that I'm absolutely clear about that. Let me do this from the top again. Actually, let's run it from the bottom. The poorer classes in America are increasing in population, yet decreasing in wealth. They're poor. Common sense, apropos. The middle class in America is decreasing in number and decreasing in wealth. 2. And 3, the rich class, the richer classes in America, are not increasing necessarily in population, but they are astronomically increasing in money and wealth. And so they talked a little bit about that. I wish they would have talked a little bit more. You're not going to see that on the Republican side as much. The belief is that Republicans don't complain about the richer classes because everybody in the Republican Party is going to be rich. That kind of doesn't work if you haven't figured that out. All right? So I believe it does need to be talked to. And I've got Republican friends that are not wealthy, that are middle income or lower, and they're having a hard damn time. And the tax cuts didn't help them by far anywhere near that it helped the richest people. So those to me are all American issues. They're not a left and right issue. They're not a Democrat or Republican issue. This country and the people that built this country, the people that actually run the country in terms of work and day-to-day are not increasing in terms of their wealth and capability with daily living. Healthcare costs, again, are on the rise. That's significant. Access to higher education, and there was a little discussion about, I think they were going to get to that before I was done, but it was about going to college, Yeah, they did. I think I remember Amy Klobuchar said something about it, and then somebody else picked it up. But they were talking about going to college and not being in debt for the rest of your life. And making college, in her case, she's a little more moderate. She's more of a conserving action in that continuum that I just described. She doesn't want to make everything free. She wants to say that a JC or a junior college or community college could be of something that isn't paid for or free, like high school, a compulsory free education where you get, here you go, an AA or an AS degree, associates of something, or a certificate, or perhaps some other form that moves you to, say, nursing or a trade or a skill. And that's smart. That really is smart. I will say this, and I'll go on record, and again, I don't think this is a liberal or Democrat thing or a Republican or conservative thing. I do believe that a healthy, watch this, a healthy, physically and mentally, a healthy and informed, highly educated populace, more educated populace, is a stronger country. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to be able to walk around the world and say we're the smartest country on the planet. That's what I'd like to say. In general, we can say we're kind of there. We're definitely one of the wealthiest countries on the planet. We're the most powerful country on the planet. You guys know for the obvious reason. Old soldier here. But I would like to know that going around the world, that our mental capacity per person, per capita, per individual is greater than every other country on the planet. I don't want to know that 5 billionaires have more wealth on the planet in the United States than everybody else on the planet. I want to know that any 5 random people out of our country that you just pick will be smarter than every other average person in the world. That's what I'd like to see. There you go. That'd be nice, right? Everybody's smarter. Then we wouldn't have as many stupid things that go on because we'd call them out and we'd catch them in advance. So that was a little bit of what I caught tonight. I didn't see a lot of dust up in terms of them going after each other as much. I think we're still in the honeymoon phase. But one way or the other, ladies and gentlemen, that field is going to have to winnow itself out. You really think about this, right? You have 25 candidates. Brother Miller and I brought that up the other day. Rear Admiral Joe Sestak, I apologize if it's mispronunciation. He is now in the race. He is retired Rear Admiral. And I dig on that because now we have four veterans running for president on the Democratic side. I absolutely dig on that. Brothers and sisters out there in arms, you laced them up, you put boots on, you put a uniform on, get out and run, homeboy, homegirl, get out and run. Because I will say that, we're not all saints, and I can give you examples of veterans that are not doing good things right now. There's one in particular I'm going to bring up probably in a show or two. But we're not all saints. But by percentage and on average, we give a damn about this country. And we're willing to sacrifice our lives for that country and for that belief. And what does that mean? It means that I really do believe that the average veteran is more likely to think country before party or personal preference. I absolutely believe that. Now, you go out and find one that doesn't, you're always going to find that, ladies and gentlemen. It's human, okay? By the way, veterans are human too. That sounded like a Me Too movement. I'm a human too. Veterans, on the average, are more likely to give for their country than they are to take by percentage, on average. And that's why I'm saying right now, if you're a vet or you served, seriously consider running or getting involved in your local community and getting involved with local politics and local activity, civilian life, sector life, and be a force within your community. Do good things, make things happen. And I will say this because this is one thing we definitely do. Call out injustice, call out right and wrong, call out things that you know are wrong, but that others lack the strength of character to actually say something about and to stand forward and be the one that the stone gets cast on. I'm that guy. If you can't tell by the face, I get beat up quite a bit because I put it out and I say something actively about what I see as wrong. People don't like it because they're doing wrong, by the way, and they don't like being called out because the normal method is hook that person up with something, take care of them so they can keep quiet. I can't be bought, and that's kind of where I go again with the veteran thing. A lot of veterans that they're hard to buy on principle. They're really hard to buy. You'll always find one or two. That's a fact. A couple cases in the administration that we're going to be dealing with, I don't even want to talk about that one too much, the Flynn thing, but you get the point. More likely to. So those are some of the issues and the items that I saw tonight. Tomorrow night, you'll have, I believe, 3 or 4 of the higher polling candidates in the race tomorrow, topped by former Vice President Biden. And then you have Bernie Sanders, exactly. So there's 3 or 4 of the higher polling candidates that are in the race tomorrow. So I'll watch tomorrow. We'll download a little bit. And again, I'm not pushing partisan view. I'm quite literally doing this, and this is why you trust me. I'm taking out the things that I think are good or that can be good for us as Americans, regardless of your party or regardless of your ideological, philosophical, political beliefs. What can make us better? I will say this, and I'll say it again. Correcting the income disparity in this country, where the middle class is shrinking and getting poorer, and the wealthiest class is getting richer. That's a hell no. And I don't give a damn if you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, or Yahoo. I don't give a damn. That's wrong. I have gotten to a point, and I fundamentally believe that because of inflation, because of rising healthcare costs, because of the inability of the average American to withstand through a good wage, the ability to survive a catastrophic event to their family in health, physically or mentally, I absolutely have moved that way over time as I've grown older. I do believe that it's absolutely necessary that there is some type of health care for the average American citizen, all of them. I do believe that. My family's been fortunate. We have not had such a thing happen to us, not in our immediate family, but we've had friends around us, family friends and close friends that have lost loved ones that have been absolutely devastated by the healthcare costs. That's all American. Standing up for your fellow citizen, standing up for your fellow American, not getting in the weeds on the politics, not being holier than thou, saying I'm Christian and not giving a damn about your fellow man. That's not me, and that's not what we do here. So I do believe in those fundamental things, and that's what I'll do with what I learned from this particular primary and the debates on the Democratic side. I will pull out the things that I think can be good for all of us, not just a party. Okay, they have to win the race. I get that part. Okay, somebody has to win, somebody has to say something, somebody has to rise in the polls. But I will pick out and sift through all that's there and bring back to you the things that I think we absolutely need. And I don't think that anybody watching this show right now will tell me that it is a good thing that the rich get richer and the middle class and the poor get poorer. If you're willing to say that to me and look me in the eye straight and tell me that, you and I got to meet. We got to hook up because I got to see that. You're a hell of an actor if you can say that with a straight face. I also believe fundamentally that the average American citizen cannot handle healthcare costs. The average American citizen does not get paid and is not being compensated in a way where they can handle the cost of daily living. I absolutely believe that women get paid than less men, and that's wrong and needs to be corrected. All of those things are truisms. They're not a left or a right thing. They're a damn all-American thing. It's that simple. So again, those are the things that I will pick out and sift through over the next couple of nights, and I'll be back with you again on the Friday to kind of download the overall. I don't want to make it the entire show, but I want to give you, again, the nuggets and the kernels that could be good that I definitely know will go into the general election and will be topic for discussion, if not open debate, between the president and whoever the Democratic nominee is for president. So those things are all coming, and I'm going to say it without any hyperbolization or any exaggeration. I do a really good job of that for you. If you're going to trust somebody, you can trust me not to lie to you. And you can trust me not to move you in a way that you don't want to go. But you can trust me to give you things that deep down inside you know are true, but maybe you're not ready to go there. Maybe if you see me standing out there in front, maybe you'll join me. And I'll welcome you. Come along. The water's warm. It's fine here. There's no hardcore partisan nut job stuff going on. Welcome. Come to the show. Learn, educate, be a little bit more. Don't get caught up in, oh, he's a Democrat, he's a Republican, it's bad. No. Not here. We don't do that. We make it right on the surface. Right and wrong. You guys know my line, country before party. If you can't say that with me, you're probably going to remain quiet and hide, as some of you have noticed on the forum where I post something and everybody gets quiet. I'm going to do a little bit of that tonight, because one thing I do enjoy, absolutely, is forcing you to think and forcing you to be uncomfortable when stared with truths. That's what this country was founded on, ladies and gentlemen. I'll argue that with anybody. Stare it down. Look it in the eye. Make a right or wrong decision, but know what it is. I do enjoy doing that. I'm going to do a little bit of that to you tonight before we finish up on air with the show. Okay, so there's your somewhat summary, because I didn't get to watch it all. I'll go finish it tonight. Gotta love the ability to record TV, right? Does anybody remember a time when we couldn't record TV? At least not in the format now. You'd have to tape it, VHS or something like that. So I'll do that tonight. I'll take a look at it again tomorrow, and then we'll come back on Friday. And Friday is the first day that I'm going to attempt to get some ladies, a female component to the show to provide us with their outlook, because as some of you have figured out, I'm not knowledgeable on the female end. Not an expert on ladies. I don't know their thought processes, but I do know that I don't know that. Therefore, I'll make every effort to get their input so that we can actually give you a constructive view, because I do have ladies that watch. I do have females that watch. My view is obviously male, it's testosterone-centered. We do need the estrogen component, and we do need a different look, because ladies do things differently. And heaven forbid, guys, I'll just break it to you right now. Believe it or not, shocker, ladies can actually do some things too and actually solve some problems. One thing they are is definitely far more collaborative than we are. We're more likely to disagree and argue with each other than women are. Women actively move to try to find solution. That's one thing that I find uniquely interesting about that dynamic, and that forces me, even when I'm hard-headed about it, I do listen. Don't always agree, but I do listen, because women will come up with something that maybe I didn't see. A different method, a different form, a different thought, a different concept. Guys, we've been running this show for a while. Not saying we've done bad, we've done some damn good things. But let's not assume that women can't do some things just as good. There's a thought for you and a bit to chew on. Scary, right? Women might actually be able to do some good things too. Don't be afraid. We're going to end up with a female president sooner or later. Maybe this next term, maybe the term after, sooner or later, guys. And I am interested, I will say that, I am uniquely interested in to see how a woman would be the president of the United States and how she'd handle problems and issues, collaboration, being a leader in the world, as a leader of the most powerful country on the planet, and being a leader in the country, in probably the most diverse country on the planet. I am interested to see that. If you can't agree with that, then you're just being hard-headed and entirely partisan left or right. But I am interested to see what women would do. I'm interested to see their thought processes on solving some of our most pressing issues that we've never solved, by the way. Guys, I'd love to see that. Okay? I'd absolutely love to see that. Okay, so let's get into this last little piece here. Again, I'll wrap up with the debates on Friday, and I'll have some colleagues, panelists with me to talk about it from a different perspective. So I have something that I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to leave up while I talk to you. You're not going to see my face. You're just going to see an image, and then I'm going to remove it. But you're going to see this image. I'm going to make you see it, because if you haven't already, then you need to. You need to. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Okay, so you can't see me, but you can hear me. And what you're looking at is a young man and his 23-month-old daughter. Now, before you jump to conclusion and try to figure out and run the little hamster in your nugget upstairs, you try to figure out what I'm getting at or what I want to accomplish by showing you this picture. It's actually fundamentally simple, not terribly complicated. It isn't to score political points one way or the other. It isn't to make somebody feel bad one way or the other. It isn't to cast blame, which is all too often the case, one way or the other. This is a young man and a little girl, his daughter. And I'll give you the gist of it in a short, summary. So they are El Salvadorian. I think we all generally know that some of those countries in Central America are war-torn, ravaged, drug-infested, not good places to live. So the caravans and the masses of people that have moved north to try to come to the United States are fleeing their countries. And I will say on air, and this isn't political, it's just a damn fact, they're not all rapists, murderers, and thieves, as some people have characterized them all as. Are there those? Probably. And I would say yes. There's always going to be an element in any group that is not good or that has done bad things. But clearly what you see in front of you now is not. Okay? They're dead. That is a dad, a young dad, and a little girl, 23 months, drowned trying to get into the United States, fleeing their country because to stay would mean death anyway. So where's my point and where's it going with it? And why am I showing it to you in particular? Again, not to guilt you one way or the other, not to move you politically one way or the other, but more so to draw your attention and to draw focus on an aspect of what I think this country is, was, and should be. If any of you are friends of mine on my Facebook page, you noticed I change my image, my picture at the top once in a while as I suit depending on my mood and what I'm feeling. So I have a quote by George Washington. I'm not into a lot of quotes, but some of them do convey pretty damn good images and messages. There's a quote by George Washington. The gist of it is simple. He believes, or he believed even back then, go ahead and keep it up, Ricks. So he believed even back then that this country of ours would be seen as the place to go from wherever you are in this world, on this planet, and that there is value in every man, woman, and child. They all have value. If we are the country that we started out as, we find the value, ladies and gentlemen, in each of those people. We find the value. Everybody has value. We find that value. We add them to our American fabric, our American mix. And again, provided, yes, there's a method, there's a procedure, there's a process, there's a standard operating procedure for which to come into the country, become an American citizen. Absolutely. I agree with that entirely, 100%. But I'm pointing this out to you and I'm showing you this image because it just smashed the hell out of me. Because I said to myself, okay, here's a brown brother coming up from Central America trying to get his wife and his child out of a country where they'll end up dead anyway. And this could have been me. You're like, oh, no. Yes, it could. Okay, I'm a brown guy. I'm of Hispanic origin, Hispanic background. I've had young ones that I had to make decisions for. Definitely not as harsh as this young man had to make. But I've had to make those tough decisions. I've had to make decisions that could have been life or death, or that could have been good or bad for my family, for my children. The simple of it was, they came, he took his daughter, he swam across the river, got her to the other side, on the Texas side of the Rio Grande, put her on the bank, jumped back in the water to go get his wife, because he couldn't take both of them at once. Jumped back in the river, started swimming back to get the wife, and because she's a 23-month, ladies and gentlemen, a 23-month-old little girl, she got scared and she jumped back in the river to her dad. The dad turned around. As he did, they got caught in a current, and the result is what you see on screen. These people are willing to die to get away from the country they're in. And they're willing to die to get to our country and live the American dream. We have to find a way, and I'm going to say it. We have to find a way, because if you can tell me that this young dude is willing to risk life and family just to get to this dream, you cannot tell me that he would not work his ass off once he's here. You cannot tell me he would not do that. It's staring you right in the face right now. The commitment and the belief that he has in this country and what it represents, and the social vigor, vitality, energy, and want, the hunger, the desire, the drive, which, by the way, America, we've kind of lost that. We've kind of lost that. I'll say it. Some of us are lazy. We don't give a damn about our Constitution anymore, even though we like to say we do. We like to talk about the brotherhood of man and woman, but we don't practice it. We like to talk about how great we were and how great we can be again. It's staring you right in the face. What made this country great was people like this young man willing to give and sacrifice his life to get to this country and be a part of this country. There has to be a way, there has to be a component where this country is constantly revitalized by people that come to it that are quite literally willing to do anything for it. Because not all Americans are willing to do everything for this country. Not all Americans are willing to sacrifice themselves for this country. Not all Americans believe entirely in this country. And you can run that left or right. I really don't give a damn, because it's the truth. But I'm going to say it again. There has to be a way that we can minimize this and realize what that young man and that little girl could have been in this country. That's what I'm telling you. There's no shame in the game tonight. It's quite simply making you look it in the face. You have people dying to get into this damn country, and you don't appreciate what this country is. You like to think you do, but you really don't. If you're not the one I'm talking to, then disregard. Just disregard and internalize. But some of you need to wake the hell up. You need to wake the hell up. You have a bastardized version of what this country is and what makes it great. You really do. What I say makes it great is the people that are willing to sacrifice everything for it. I know where I stand. I'd appreciate more of you standing with me. Go ahead and remove that image, Rix. Stare it in the face, okay? The article was from the Associated Press, AP article. It wasn't done to push a partisan view one way or the other. As of today, I do know that the House has moved a bill forward to address some things at the border, including what our people are terming the humanitarian end, the humanitarian crisis component to it. They're trying to get things such as toothbrushes, simple essential living soap. They're trying to make it easier and better for the people that are dealing with the situation, including our people, people at the border, border control, border security, ICE agents, and detention facilities, these places that the people are being housed in. They're trying to make it better. I think it has to go to the Senate, and then it has to go to the President to sign. So there is some movement, there is some action. I'm just going to tell you right now, and maybe that's why some of you don't want to listen anymore. Don't give me the skinny on, oh, it's the Democrats' fault, oh, it's the Republicans' fault, it's the President's fault. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of it. Stop crying. Seriously. Stop your damn crying already. Because while we do that, they do nothing. Repita, por favor. Let me say it again. While we cry and complain, bitch and moan about what one party's doing and what another party's not doing, they do nothing. There is inaction. And it's not just the Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. It's the President too. Okay? Right now, the Democrats control the House, and they can move something, and I think they've begun to. It has to go to the Senate, and they got to reconcile. Heaven forbid that happens, right? Probably won't. Okay? But I will say this, because I had a buddy said, well, the Democrats can do this. I said, you're absolutely right, and they should. And I'll take them to task on this time, on my air right now, and say, Democrats, get off your ass and do something right now. But don't just blame the Democrats if you're a Republican, or just blame the Republicans if you're a Democrat. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Republicans controlled both the House and the Senate and the presidency for 2 years. They had it for 2 years. They had all aspects and branches of our government short of the court. And we're talking about it 2 years later. They could have done this in the president's first term. So don't sit here and tell me that it's just the Democrats or just the Republicans. That's on you. We elect them. That's on you. We elect them. They represent us. They do what they think they can get away with. They do what they think we are okay with. They do what they want because we choose not to hold them accountable. So ultimately, whose fault is it? You get the content and understanding. Okay? So that's on the table right now. And God willing, at the very least, I think it's really simple. You know, say, oh, it's racial. No, it's not racial, damn it. It's just humanitarian, right? Humanitarian crisis. Yeah. If you're human, it should matter to you. It matters to me. For whatever reason, I saw that image and it just kind of sucked the life out of me. I was like, Jesus Christ. Now, here we go. I know that that takes place. I know that it happens. But I'm not doing that desensitizing thing anymore. I'm not doing that normalizing thing. I'm not doing that okay thing. We know it takes place, and we make it okay because it's taken place before. Damn it, we're the United States of America. Why do we have to accept that? Why do we have to? Oh, it's going to happen anyway. Then shoot the damn numbers down. Decrease the number. If you lose 100 to 200 people trying to get across the border on the southern end, or you have terrorists coming through on the northern end, oh yeah, we don't want to talk about that, right? Because that takes place too. Then get it across all ends. Make sure it takes place across all ends. Get it right. Do your damn job. We elect you, do your damn job. It's that simple. Because I don't like seeing that image. And what are you going to say? Oh, it's fake news? Grow the hell up. Fake news is what you want it to be. Fake news is what you want to be fake. Fake news is what you want to believe to be fake. Those images are not fake. People are dead, people are dying to get into this country to realize this dream. By the way, they're the ones that come out in my neck of the woods, pick grape, chili, fig, cotton, and any other damn thing they can pick just to earn a buck. Because the average American doesn't want to go out and do that damn job. They won't do the job. You need people that have the hunger and the desire from another damn country to come and do the job. Because we won't. And don't sit there and tell me you will, because I didn't see a whole lot of homeboys and homegirls out in the fields when I was doing it. So don't tell me you will. That is a vital, necessary component to who we are as a country. You need people coming in that have hunger, desire, drive, and energy to keep this little 240 plus year experiment of ours going methodically, inexorably, and strong. It's called social vitality and vigor. You get it from a society. You don't get it at the top end. They're too damn lazy. They have a lot already. They have all the money. They have all the wealth. They're good. The people at the bottom are willing to work, drive, hunger, energy. You need that component. Do I have the $1 million answer right now? No, I don't. But I have a damn strong suspicion on how we can do it. And it isn't just shutting one border. I've said this before. If you're going to shut the border, then you shut all the damn borders. You shut them all. Okay, because while you're complaining about Mexicans coming up and El Salvadorans coming up from the south, there are people coming through the northern border and through our ports that are actually doing damage to this country. More terrorists and people on the terrorist watch list, watch out, more people on the terror watch list for the United States enter through the northern border than they do on the southern border. That's a fact. Not fake news, fact news. That is fact news. More terrorists, more people on the terror watch list come in through the northern border than they do through the southern. The people that are coming through the southern border are quite literally, as the image portrays and shows, dying trying to get across a damn river. They ain't trying to blow anything up, ladies and gentlemen. That 23-year little girl, 23 months old, she ain't blowing anything up. She ain't trying to kill anybody, and neither's that young dad. Give that young buck a job and he'll probably kill himself doing it so his family can eat. Think about that. So all that stuff's going on right now. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm genuinely interested. I actually give a damn. Am I optimistic? In entire honesty, I'm beginning to lose optimism daily. Daily. As I see these things continue. So why? Why get set off by one image? Why not? Why not? Why get set off by one image? Why not? Why the hell not? Something needs to move you and wake you the hell up. Something needs to get you motivated to hold our people to account. Something needs to motivate you to tell the Congress, representatives and Senate and the president to get the damn job done. That's the only thing that moves these people. That's the only thing. We're supposed to hold them to account, not the other way around. There's another quote that I'm going to probably post tonight. It's quite literally about if you're willing to give your authority, if you're willing to give your rights and your freedoms, if you're willing to give over everything of who you are as a country, then you don't deserve the damn country. You don't deserve the country if you're not willing to stand for the principles upon which it was founded. And you can quote that. That's not me quoting another. That's just me right now not happy. Clear? I hope so. Not in a good mood tonight. That bothered me, but you need to see it. Message, curriculum, lesson plan, hold your people to account. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, I really don't give a damn anymore. Hold your people to account. You can do it in a variety of ways. Somebody calls in a poll saying, I'm not for people losing their life at the border. I'm not for some little girl drowning. However you want to do it. Hold your people to account. Even if you don't give a damn about a young guy, a young man, and his little girl dying, if you don't give a damn about that, it's costing us a lot of damn money if that moves your needle. Make them do something at the very least for that. Make them do something about that. If you don't give a damn about human life, give a damn about your tax dollars. Say something. Because it is bleeding us in many ways and not just what you think it is or the obvious. There is an economic component to it. There's a reason why House Republicans and Senate Republicans did nothing for 2 years on the border. There's a reason why. So while we're caught up in this blame game of the Democrats are responsible, Republicans are responsible, either of them have done nothing at all. You do the math. I'm going to say it again. Republicans held the House for 2 years. Republicans held the Senate for 2 years. They held the presidency for 2 years. So in that 2 years, when the president came into office, they could have gotten this done already. It could have been done. Instead of waiting until the Democrats are in power, now you blame them. That's just dumb. Doesn't hold water here. You can't say it's their fault because you were in charge right before them, and it wasn't done. So where are we at now? Democrats in the House, move it. Get something in writing, move it. At least do your job. Move it to the Senate, see what happens there. Maybe they come up with something different or alternative. Maybe you compromise. Scary concept, novel concept, probably a ridiculous concept at this point. And then hopefully through some type of bipartisan compromise, gets to a president, maybe he signs it. Maybe we have less people dying at the border. Maybe we have little kids not dying or living like animals at the border. I think we can all agree on that, if you're all good Christians, by the way. If even other faiths believe in the humanity of taking care of children. You don't have to just be Christian. You can be any faith. There are very few faiths that don't advocate for taking care of your little ones, right? That's all American to me. Okay, I'll be back on Friday. Apologies to you if it was a little heady and a little more serious in content. But I'm going to ask you now to go back, because spliced in the dialogue tonight, there's some very, very serious content, very serious lines that you really, really need to think about. Look yourself in the mirror and ask, who the hell are you? Am I American? Then I better start acting like it. And I better start getting square with the principles upon which this damn country was founded. Because a lot of us aren't acting American right now. We're acting selfish. We're acting partisan. We're acting party and politician before American. Get square with yourself. I'll be back, I said, on the Friday. I'll download after I get the kernels of good stuff that I can find out of the Democratic presidential primary. And then I'll bring that back to you in a pleasant and more concise form for the Friday, so you learn a little something. You learn a little something. There's something to learn from everyone. I still believe that. I'll probably believe that till I'm dead. But I will always find the silver lining in the dark cloud. I don't work for the dark cloud in the silver lining. I work the other way. Okay? So a big thank you to all of you guys that have stayed faithful. I know it's difficult material. Sometimes you don't want to hear what I have to say because it's ugly and it hurts and it makes you feel something other than, yeah, I'm just telling you what you want to hear and I want to build an audience because I lead you like sheep down a road because I'm telling you all the things that move you that way. No, I didn't do that when I was a teacher. I'm sure as hell not going to do it now. A little too late in the game, ladies and gentlemen. It is about educating you. It is about being honest with you. It is about getting you to see things other than what you're normally accustomed to in the day-to-day grind of what misinformation you gather in media, social media, and other forms of information. That's what it's about. Okay, I'll be back, I said again, one more time on Friday. I'm going to try to have a couple ladies with me, or at least one or two, and then we can unpack and maybe get into a few other items because I want to begin to take advantage of having a female perspective on the show and making sure that I'm not monolithically one way in thought just because I'm a man and I don't consider a female perspective. I actively move to make sure that we attempt to do that. Okay, you guys have a good night. I'll be back on Friday. Be careful. Take a look at that AP article on the migrant deaths at the border. It was the Martinez family, believe it or not. Yeah, me. So AP, Associated Press, migrant deaths at the border. In addition to that, I think there were 4 more, not even 10 miles down the road, that drowned trying to get in. Same thing. Same thing. At the very least, force yourself to look yourself in the mirror and force yourself to educate yourself on how bad people want to be American. I love that. Okay, SuperMex Nation, I'm out. I'll see you on Friday. Good to go.